And we welcome you into a Tuesday edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show at Quaker Steak Lube. The dear Goon will be joining in uno momento as we get you ready for the bye week. Second bye week of the season, and the Nittany Lions coming off the wild 33-30 win over USC. We're certainly going to discuss that and the importance of that win. We'll certainly talk college football in general. I think this season is shaping up a little differently than I was expecting in terms of the playoff race and all of the different implications that come with it. We'll get into that as the show unfolds here this morning, as well as the this afternoon, as the dear Goon joins us here at Quaker Steak and Lube. And we'll certainly talk some NFL, and who knows, as we are wont to do, we'll probably get into subjects that I'm not even thinking of or that I'm not planning to get into as we start the program. That's just kind of what we tend to do here on the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. I do want to give a huge shout out here to Quaker Steak and Lube. Great place to come down and watch your favorite college football action. Again, Penn State with a bye week, you get to check out all of the other action going on across the country. Great place to come down and watch NFL games. Great place to come on down and watch hockey. And if you're into that NBA stuff, I guess, you could probably do that as well, is my understanding, as the season quickly approaches. But a great place to come on down and watch sports, get together with friends. It is just one of those
nice time here Saturday, bud.
Yeah, I heard you had a very nice time. Landon Tangwall said, maybe we won't put the Goon on the air here.
Oh no, I learned that lesson
Saturday night.
15 years ago. I told him when he says, "Do you mind if I do the show from the Lube?" I said, "Do not expect me to go on the air."
Which is fair.
I'm not going to be on the air.
That is fair. So, anyways, good time. Always had by all, and this really is, Goon. To me, this puts you in mind of the old neighborhood bars where folks just come together, chat. You can kind of put life's worries to the side for a little bit, enjoy some beverages, enjoy some food. Great service, as we said down here. But it's just a great atmosphere. It is.
It's family.
It's a neighborhood bar feel to it.
Sick. Kids get sick, they get sick or whatever. We're all right. Where everybody's jumping in there and helping out with each other. So
yeah, it's just a great place to be. And again, great menu, a wide variety of things you can get. I'm switching it up and going back to my salad today, Goon. So
Whoa,
it'll be
steak or the chicken?
during the steak salad. So that's my go-to. See, timing is everything.
It's all about preparation.
Thank you so much.
And look at this. Oh, my.
Yeah, and I mixed it up with the balsamic today, doing the balsamic dressing. So,
Jeffrey.
Yeah, those watching on the YouTube or Facebook Live, that's the salad right in front of me here. So, always enjoy whatever we get.
Go to our quickest first break.
And I do switch up. Yeah, we'll be back in a few minutes. No, I'm kidding. So let's start with the USC game, because there are so many things to break down on it. And there's a couple of things I just want to thank you very much. A couple of things I really want to touch on, because I think sometimes in any game, okay, if you're playing a board game with friends, you're playing Monopoly or you're playing Scrabble or whatever it may be, there, as often as not, Goon, what I think most of us will learn is, you need to make some good plays in whatever it is, or get some good rolls. But also, what needs to happen is your opponent makes some mistakes, or if it's a game of luck, just doesn't get the lucky roll of the dice or whatever it may be. So it is often as much about not making the mistake or getting the break as it is anything else. The interception that Penn State had at the end of the game, there is no question the player is open. The receiver is open. If that ball is delivered, USC is at least going to attempt a game-winning field goal. No question about it. But I'm reading side, it's like, man, Penn State got lucky there. Well, yes, but Penn State made the plays when it needed to in those fourth down situations, and I want to talk about that a little bit. But and USC didn't. So yes, you're right. But all throughout the game, there were plays to be made, both sides. Some missed, some capitalized on, and that's every game at every level. You go back. That's why when you go to the film room, right? Going like every game you ever played in, you go back and you look at it, say, oh man, if I had just made that assignment, or if that guy had just hit his, that play was there. It happens all throughout all games, again, at every level, that you go back and it's like, oh man, we really hit that one, and oh man, we left that one. Yeah, and we left that one for sure. We left that one on the table. So yes, no question. The interception was Penn State taking advantage of a missed opportunity by USC, but they took advantage of it. That's the point.
Yeah, it's the old adage: football is a game of inches.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And when you do lose a game, you do try to figure out what went wrong, that type of thing.
Well,
so USC's watching that game going, we missed that pass by inches, and that's just how the whole football's a game of inches comes from. Yes, but, we're going to get into personnel and how they play and all this, but I just have to say right off the get, I mean, again, I will say, and I know that was a big thing talked about last week, is that travel. And it's not just the Penn State people talking. I mean, now the east to west and west to east are 2-11 or 3-11 right now, having to come across the country. I think that John Bacon said it the best. He said if they have to come two time zones or more is a big one, because I guess Nebraska is not as far. But 2 time zones or more, the team traveling is 3-11 in the Big Ten right now. And just to go out there and do that at USC with just the storied traditions that they have in a packed house, it looked awesome. Talking to the guys last night, it was just a pretty awesome atmosphere out there. Our fans were going crazy. I have to ask you right off the get, did you ever have that feel like, wow, they're going to lose this game? I never felt that.
I thought it was very much up in the air. It was funny. There were a couple of times I think I might have said even out loud to my wife, I'm like, we just got to see who makes the play here.
Yep.
And it was, I wasn't resigned to Penn State losing. I know there were some people very early on. It's like, I'm not sitting here guaranteeing that Penn State's going to come back, but like, this has been a second half team. Like I wasn't resigned to anything at halftime. I wasn't overly confident. I'm like, let's see how this plays out. And a couple of things about it was that, as we had talked about going in, while I felt it was a very important game, and it was for Penn State from a perception standpoint, from a confidence standpoint, all of that, and even margin for error standpoint, I guess the somewhat nice thing about it, as with a 12-team playoff, you weren't out of it if Penn State had lost it. It was not the end of the world. Now,
it is funny. I think Ohio State people right now.
Well, and I want to go there because this is the other thing is I think everyone gets caught up in which is what fans do. We're fanatics,
sure.
and we get caught up. I get caught up on the Steelers, and I don't care what anybody else is doing. I want to know what the Steelers are doing. I don't care what anybody else is doing. I want to know what Penn State is doing. But when you start looking around, all of sports, all of college football, all of the NFL, and we'll focus here on Penn State and all of college football, there are a lot of teams. Georgia has had 3 games now where you're like, that is not the Georgia Georgia could go on and win the national title. I'm not
Correct.
sitting here making any pronouncement on this. I'm telling you, there's been 3 games where Georgia has not looked like Georgia of old, where they're rolling to a national title. Could easily have 3 losses on the docket already, and obviously they have a big one coming up here with Texas, which I think that game is absolutely fascinating to me. Obviously, big implications there. And one of the things that's getting a lot of discussion is how many 2-loss teams will go in. And if Penn State had lost that game to USC, again, not out of it, certainly 1 loss, and if they come back and beat Ohio State, I think a lot of people, to some degree, yours truly included, are chalking up the Ohio State game as an L, or at least we're going into this past weekend. And some, I think, maybe even more so now, because now it's an Ohio State team that is going to feel desperate, and I think probably learn some things coming out of that trip to Oregon that it will apply when it makes a trip here to Beaver Stadium. But we'll get into all of that. I think the fact is, and we talk about this all of the time after wins and losses, and it's like, man, if that play doesn't work out, and when the first 4th down that Penn State went for, and I heard Booch talking about it yesterday on, I think, with Jim Galati on his show, and maybe even on Booch's show, late lunch, by the way, 1 to 2 here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. He said, no question, they should have gone for it, and he felt that was the right call. While I didn't think it was the worst thing in the history of football, I really thought if they didn't make it, it was going to be presented that way.
Of course.
And I even made a little note. I'm like, ahead of time, I don't think this is the right call, but if they make it, it is going to be heralded as, man, they went out to win it. If they don't make it, it's going to be James Franklin panicked again in a big game. Right, and I think that's what the narrative was, and on my little note to myself, I'm like, this is sports. You have to make decisions, and again, this is before the play occurs. I'm like, if this works, it's going to, and they go on and score, and I underline that, because if they make it and they don't score, then it's just almost an afterthought. If they make it, and if they don't make it, then, and USC, especially if USC then comes and scores, it's going to be presented as, once again, clock management, not understanding the game situation, all of that. You open yourself up to it. I didn't love going for it. I wasn't even thrilled with the play call, to be honest with you. And same thing there, Goon. If Julian Fleming doesn't catch that ball, and I'm talking here specifically on the first 4th down play, then you open yourself up to criticism as well. Well, why in the world? Tyler Warren dominated this game, and you go to Julian Fleming, who hasn't had a big catch all year. Why would you do that? Well, now it's being heralded as, why? Because Aller delivered it and Fleming caught it. Bunch of things that could go wrong with that play. And the second 4th down, even more amazing. Aller's ability on that play, I don't think can be overstated. You talk about a guy that kept Penn State in that game with, USC had pressure on him. And I think the Drew Aller of a year ago, that is at best an incomplete pass. And I think more likely either a sack or the most likely scenario a year ago, I think that is another pick for Drew Aller. Not in this game, not on that day. But on that first 4th down call, you talk about being a game of inches. Again, if the play works, man, good coaching, way to be aggressive. If it doesn't, it's James Franklin and Andy Kotelnicki are making the same calls either way. It's not, man, Aller happened to deliver, Fleming happened to make a great catch, and so we're talking about Penn State winning, and I think most people are now in retrospect saying, man, right call. It's why coaching is such a fickle business. I did
the Nitwits on Sunday night down in Altoona with Neil. Brennan took an extra day out in California.
Nice. I think that's a smart thing to do.
That's how the Brennan rolls.
Why would you not do that?
So I was on the air with Neil, and I said, you know what? We're the first ones to complain about James when he has a mental go for two when they should not be going for two early in the game type of thing. The clock management. He's not a game day manager, but you know what? He made that call. Aller made it happen. Julian Fleming made the catch. And now no one's like, oh, well, that's all on them. What you're saying is completely true. I mean, but we would be, all we would be talking about was Franklin and his sideline coaching and in-game coaching and stuff like that. So we got to give credit where credit's due. I mean, I feel he had a feel for the game and a feel for Aller, and they were not going to let Warren catch that ball in that situation. I mean, they probably had him triple covered, to be honest with you. But going forward on that down, Neil said it was a well-coached moment. He had thought about the Penn State upset of Notre Dame in 1990, and Joe played the clock, and he played the win, and he played the air, and this and that. And he said he played it to a T. And he goes, he thought that James was going to go that route, but he was like, the weather was good. It was, punt down, this and that, but bury him down there, get your timeouts, get the clock back. And he's like, no, he had a feel, and he went for it. And Aller delivered, I'll give James credit for having the yachts to go out there and do that. And for the offensive line who kept Drew clean. Again, 0 sacks again for the boys. And Julian Fleming coming up with his, I would say, the 2 top plays of his career. I mean, I don't know of anything else
for sure, his Penn State career.
I
think that's fair to say. Because,
and it was good for him to see him do that. And I'm telling you, right, man, we had a confident team coming back from the West Coast the other day. We really do. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Jeff, I'm telling you, we're getting to that point now where it's like, okay, USC was like, dude, you guys are not going to run on us. It's not going to happen. And it's the 94 syndrome. Pick your poison. How do you want to play the game? Do you want Drew, you're going to let our running Singletary and Aller and just run all over you, and our offensive line and our massive mutant tight end making blocks the way he is? But by the way, no one's giving him enough credit for that, by the way.
I agree.
I mean, he's got 17 catches for 292,000 yards out there and a couple touchdowns. He's playing center. He's playing fullback, tight end, wide receiver, quarterback. But, dude, watch the guy block. He is murdering people.
Can I also touch on something there? Because I think one thing that I haven't heard brought up, and maybe others are, I'm not trying to take credit for something that others have brought up, but I have not heard it mentioned. And I do think it is worth giving a ton of credit to players and coaches alike. When you have the danger, when you have as many different personnel groupings and you're doing as many different things as Penn State is doing with the quarterback center spot in particular, okay? That to have no issues, and I don't think, and if I'm forgetting one or two, somebody can remind me.
I know what you're saying.
I don't think there were any issues, like not any, as a result of that in Saturday's game in terms of center quarterback exchange, in terms of false movement, false start, illegal movement. All of the things.
I'll give it to you.
That is, and I'm telling you, the first time, same thing. If Bo Prabula comes in there and they get a false start, why are you putting Prabula in there? You're getting too fancy. You're getting too tricky. If the pass to Warren, and it's well covered. I mean, they didn't fool USC on it, which is a tremendous credit, by the way, to Dan Conlin and their coaches and those players, because to not be fooled on that play, it takes something. But they weren't fooled, but it's a great throw and a greater catch, and they get it. But if that doesn't work, again, same thing. It's man, you're controlling things. You're winning the line. You're doing this. Why are you? Well, when it works, there's Kotelicki, the mad genius for you, and he was. But that is a tremendous credit to the coaches and players alike, because that, I'm just telling you, that is not easy to operate that efficiently.
You have a different guy calling a cadence. you see it
Three different guys.
Yeah, you're right. All the time when they bring another quarterback in and there's a false start because this cadence is his might be set, and the other guy might be sit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's just that voice inflection type of thing, and I just got to say they must just be practicing the hell out of these things because, like you said, there's been no false starts, there's been no people in illegal formations, that type of thing. These guys are very, very well coached, very well taught. They know what they're doing out there, and they're making plays happen. I'm telling you, man, it's getting to that point where we really got to start thinking like, wow, this is the run right now. I think, I go back to it's 5-0, now we're 6-0. It's like that getting that halfway through the season at undefeated, going into your second bye week, and then you got your this is the gut of the schedules coming up. Obviously, with at Wisconsin, Ohio State, and Washington. 3 big weeks in a row. Let's rest up, get ready for those. But, it was real easy for those guys to overlook that USC team because they were coming off of a loss. And, us going out there and doing what we did, how we did it I'm sure the momentum of our team right now is sky high. These guys are very, very happy and very proud of themselves, as well as they should be. And we are too, because of how they played. And it's the momentum they're building right now. And it's like, you almost want to be like, damn, I wish we did have a game this week because of the momentum we're having right now.
Yeah. So I will say for all of the good vibes, and there are rightfully a ton of good vibes, Ryan Barker being able to, as a walk-on redshirt freshman to come in, and, he is now 6 for 6, but we've said all year, Goon, man, one of these games is going to come down to a field goal. Certainly going into this game, when you're checking the boxes, USC, advantage kicker, yep, USC, and then you go on down. Well, they missed.
Yep.
Penn State made it. Penn State wins the game. Doesn't necessarily guarantee anything in the future, but, man, Barker has been really consistent. I am really curious, and I'm not looking to start anything. I'm genuinely curious. It feels like Barker is definitively the guy now, 40 yards in.
Yeah.
What I am just genuinely curious about, and maybe 45 in, I don't know. It feels to me that at some point there, though, if you get into a game situation, I don't know what his ceiling is or what his length is, but it is not, he cannot kick the ball as far as Sada can. And so if you get into that situation, I'm guessing that there's still an opportunity there for
you have a
Barker
distance guy.
Yes. And so we'll see. That's neither here nor there necessarily at the moment.
So Landon Tangwell made an announcement last night that they're working on a fund right now for Barker to get him a scholarship through the NIL. And Ann Lusk was on our show last night. She's now a sponsor of the Goon and Ironhead show as we speak. But we were talking last night, and she said, "You know what? I feel so importantly about this, and that guy doing what he's doing is she will match up to $10,000.
No kidding.
Of whatever put into this the Barker fund. So,
that's great.
Stay tuned. Landon will have an announcement coming out soon about how to help out and how to get some money towards giving this kid get a scholarship. I mean, we got to, good for him. That's awesome on Landon doing that. He doesn't have to go and do that.
For sure.
And he's out there trying to help his teammate out. I mean, this is a guy he played with for a year, maybe last year, I think. And, I don't even know how long Landon was on the team last year. So interesting to see how he's going to rally the troops for the kid and stuff like that. But, man. Yeah, I asked you if you had any doubt in the game, and listen, I just didn't. It was weird. It was just like
I did.
All right,
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you.
It's like I don't know. I had that quiet little confidence, and I'm telling you, I'm getting those 94 vibes about this team.
Well,
man.
So that is the one thing I did
about it.
Yeah, I do want to pick up on that because we talked about it going into the game, not necessarily knowing that this was going to be the game, but every championship season, you have at least that A game, if and sometimes it's more than one, where it's like, man, you're up against it, things,
Correct.
and there are those memorable moments,
Yeah.
and there were so many memorable moments coming out of this, from Tyler Warren's unbelievable play where he stops the ball and then makes an amazing catch on the double, quarterback toss and all of that. The 2 catches by Julian Fleming on 4th downs, where, I mean, Penn State had to have it, and they got it. And I think, and then Ryan Barker's performance and a number of other things that you can go back and circle, and man, that was key. That was key. This was important. But this did feel like one of those defining games.
Correct.
Now,
the game that
here
Joe
is my
used to
concern.
say, you shouldn't win this game. Everything going against you.
Here is my concern, is that you get too caught up in believing that, no, we're a team of destiny now. We know this. And
are you going to go what I've been nightmaring about?
Well, I was listening to Booch a little bit, and I don't share his belief that Camp Randall is just kind of a fun atmosphere for opponents. The fact that is a night game, the fact that it is the week before Ohio State, and that's coming off a bye week. Penn State's track record with bye weeks is well known, and it's not great. They don't come out generally and light the world on fire. Wisconsin, I would have told you last Friday that it doesn't really matter because Wisconsin is down. Wisconsin, I don't know what the heck happened. And I don't know if that was more about Rutgers or if that was more about Wisconsin, because I had myself convinced going into that game that Rutgers was really good, really tough, physical defense, running game, and kind of the old school Wisconsin. Like, that's what Rutgers is. And that Wisconsin was down. I won't say I was shocked that Wisconsin won, but are you kidding me? They took Rutgers to the woodshed.
They did.
It was not remotely competitive. Yeah. And on both sides of the ball, that did shock me. And when I say if you would ask me, does Wisconsin have any chance of winning by more than 3 touchdowns? I was no chance. They won 42-7. Like, if anybody was going to win by 3 touchdowns or more in that game, I would have told you going in it, well, it'd be Rutgers because they're just going to control the thing. Wisconsin completely controlled it. So the fact that Penn State is coming off a bye week, I do think there's a potential, and I know they'll do everything they can to address it.
They will.
Ohio State is hanging out there. And now it's a night game at Camp Randall. I think Wisconsin will come in with a ton of momentum and now we'll see, because who knows? Every week is a season unto itself. I'm chalking up Wisconsin win over Northwestern. Who knows? Wisconsin maybe comes out and drubs Wisconsin, and then I have a whole different feel again about it. Going into the weekend right now, I think Wisconsin will beat Northwestern. Northwestern's playing better than I thought they would have from the start of the season, and they seem to I think they are a good team. But boy, Wisconsin looks, at least in that one game, like they have really turned a corner.
I know we're going to go to break here, but I want to come back when we talk about this. But I'm telling you, I think the Big Ten and the SEC reversed roles this year. They are playing some bangers
big time,
and we are playing because
Bama,
we got watered down with the 4 new teams.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I do.
Where we have Maryland, Purdue, Minnesota end our season. You know what I mean? Where this is our complaint in the Big Ten about the SEC. You never play each other. Now they're all playing each other because they added Alabama or Oklahoma and Texas, and now we bring in Washington, Oregon, USC, and UCLA. I mean, Oregon is legit, no doubt, but the other 3 they're getting beat.
I really think because of all of that, Goon, the one thing, and I don't want to, not that it matters what I'm saying to these guys. I don't think they're, as much as I'd love to think that, I don't think they're waiting on my every word up there at the Lash building.
Sure.
But I really do think because of all of that, and because of what you have right now, this kind of perfect storm, Penn State has to cash in on this.
Sure.
Like, this has to be
yes.
that special year.
We
now,
talk about Rutgers having a great schedule and Virginia Tech having a very positive schedule. We do too.
Yeah. Now, how we define special year, maybe we'll take a break here and pick up on the other side of that, because I think that's going to be different for different people. I have what I think now this team needs to do to, again, I'm using the term cash in on this opportunity with the talent they have, with the schedule playing out the way it is, coming off of this win. Is it national title or bust? Is it still just, man, you just got to get into the playoffs? We'll talk about that when we come back.
I'll keep the scenario while you're thinking on our break.
Yeah.
Oregon, Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, and Indiana, all undefeated going into the final.
Well, and there are 11 undefeated teams in college football right now.
The three of us do not play.
We'll pick up on that on the other side of this timeout as well. Again, you are listening to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here from Quaker Steak and Lube. We appreciate your doing so on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Habaker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Habaker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Habaker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The Fox.
And we welcome you back here on this Tuesday afternoon. We are at Quaker Steak and Lube, our favorite place to be. I'm enjoying my salad as I am wont to do. The all-you-can-eat wing buffet, which everybody enjoys, gets underway at 4 o'clock here. That is every Tuesday, 4 o'clock. I think right up to close, right? They go with the wing buffet, so you can come on down this evening, starting right as we go off the air, and enjoy those wings to your heart's content.
Little NFL update here.
Yeah,
Amari Evans gets traded to the Amari Cooper got from the Browns, got traded to the Bills this afternoon. Just happened, just came down. He's a Buffalo Bill now.
Yeah, Devontae Adams, of course, heading to the New York Jets. It's the New York Football Jets. Jets, by the way, taking on the Steelers in what is looming as a very big game for
Jets
both
are on
teams
national
right
TV
now.
again?
Yeah, shocker.
Serious? Wow.
I know.
Crap.
Sunday night matchup for the Steelers. And I'll tell you, Pittsburgh did a great job of momentary distraction. Steelers took care of business with the Raiders. I got to tell you, that the loss to the Cowboys is eating at me even more after watching what the Lions did to the Cowboys. It is, I mean, I know both losses, like the Colts loss wasn't great, but at home to that Dallas team, come on.
Like, who's just getting stomped on a regular basis right now.
So aggravating.
I just think it'd be great if the Steelers can take out the Jets and just put them out of their freaking misery.
If the Steelers can, and I said this going into the weekend, and a big if, but if they can win these next three, you get to 6-2 in the season, and then you can basically play 500 ball the rest of the way. And, if you're 4-5 the rest of the way, probably you're going to get in the playoffs even at 10-7. If you go 5-4, you're getting it. Now 11-6 is definitively getting you in the playoffs. So these are a big couple of games coming up. They're both at home, both primetime matchups against teams that the Steelers will rightfully be favored against, but they were rightfully favored against the Dallas Cowboys and couldn't take advantage of all of the issues and injuries that the Cowboys had. And now with the Jets being in desperation mode a bit and getting the acquisition of Adams, this becomes a very intriguing, but as a Steelers fan, worrisome game with the Jets coming up here on Sunday night.
Yeah, so the Browns have packed it in. The Bengals are still playing, I think, fighting for their lives.
Yeah, but they're not looking
it's
great. It's not coming together for them. Not to say that it can't or won't, but it's not getting there.
So I think that Russell's. I think Tomlin said Russell's going to get some snaps this week.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess everybody has their thoughts and opinions, and including me. I just don't know. To me, with that offensive line right now, I just think Justin Fields and his ability to run, and again, so long as he continues to make, I get that he's not lighting the world on fire. I'm not sure why anybody thinks Russell Wilson's going to come in and light the world on fire. Like
Fields
that's not what
touchdown run in the day Fields had. There's 5 guys in the NFL who could do that.
Yeah, and that's an important dynamic right now because of what the Steelers have or don't have offensively. So I don't know. I don't understand the desire of seemingly a majority of Steelers fans. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but it seems like there's a lot of people calling for Russell Wilson, and I don't get it. I'm not. And I don't think, I mean, listen, if Russell Wilson lights the world on fire in practice and they're like, oh, no, clearly he's going to be our better option. Okay. I find it hard to believe that that's going to be the case. And to me, right now, you ride this thing with Fields until you feel like it's not working for whatever reason. But
he's done nothing to lose the job.
I don't think so.
Why would you put Russell Wilson in there and put the doubt in Fields' mind? looking over his shoulder when he's out there.
Yeah,
you know?
and I don't
that's the
think
worst thing you
Wilson
do as a
seems to
quarterback.
be engaged right now, and so I don't. I know there's concern about having two guys that consider themselves starters, but at least for the moment, it doesn't seem like that's a horrible situation that's developing. And I just don't know why you rock the boat when it feels like the boat doesn't need rock. Now, maybe they go out and lose to the Jets, and then I think you have a different conversation. But I think if they can win these next two games,
that's how it's going to work.
Again, and you get to 6-2, and the Steelers, the track record at home in primetime under Tomlin has been exceptionally good. Doesn't guarantee anything, obviously, but you certainly like their chances going into those games. All right.
Does he just wish for like a big blowout game and just be like, thank God?
They kind of got it with the Raiders. I mean, it wasn't
not in the first half. It was pretty damn ugly.
No. But I'm saying, I mean, we're used to sweating right down to the final minute of the game.
There's nothing pretty about the Steelers. I'm not going to lie to you. The Steelers aren't a pretty team to watch, but defensively, man, my God, TJ is. I mean, I know you've been on him for a couple of years, man. Damn, does he come off that freaking ball? Hot dang, very, very good.
All right, so
SEC Big Ten.
Looking at at college football as a whole, so I really thought going into the season that most, if not all teams, depending on how it would play out, but most teams in the Big Ten or SEC, if you got to 10-2, you're in. I do not think that's the case anymore. And it's interesting seeing how this is playing out in the SEC in particular, because I'm really not sure what to think right now of the SEC. I know there are the SEC haters where, man, those guys just get too much hype and they're this and that. Listen, it is a really good conference with a bunch of really good teams.
And they added two.
And they have
really
had the most elite teams more consistently over the last decade plus by a pretty good measure.
Let me jump in here real quick. Let's not forget that this USC team that we're celebrating beating this past weekend kicked the snot out of LSU to open the season.
Yep. Which is so, and that's exactly where I'm going, is I don't know. I'm not ready to sit here and tell you that the SEC is overrated, but I'm also not ready to concede that it is just definitively heads and shoulders above everybody else, including the Big Ten. I'll use the two standard bearers here for the SEC in recent years. And I get Alabama has a coaching change and, I think is still trying to kind of figure it all out. But I think most of us thought that after the loss to Vanderbilt, man, that's going to be a wake-up call and look out. Bama is going to go out and take care of business here against South Carolina. Well,
they're in trouble.
That didn't happen. They won. But, I mean, by the skin of their teeth, they won.
Yep.
2 points, and South Carolina is not – I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're an awful team, but this is not a contender this year. And this is one of the tricky things, though. So, okay, not a contender, but I would argue South Carolina actually is a good team. All relative, I guess, how you define good. But, I mean, I think they've got –
they're in Indiana – Rutgers,
a good bit of talent
type of Big Ten team.
And so you almost have to just wait and see how this whole season plays out. We've been presuming some things that, again, we think we know from 1 week to the next, and then it's like, oh, wait, maybe we don't know that.
Yeah.
So Georgia is getting a lot of love despite the loss to Alabama. And what's interesting to me about that, and when I say a lot of love, I mean they're fourth in both polls, and that loss is being largely forgiven. That they are in front of, what did I say, eight undefeated teams, along with all of the other one-loss teams. So 8 teams without a loss, and I'm not sitting here telling you, well, Liberty's getting robbed. Liberty should be ranked ahead of Georgia. But that loss to Alabama, they got credited for coming back And it's like, well, it was a close loss, but it's Alabama. Well, is it Alabama? Because now Alabama has lost to Vanderbilt and got by the skin of their teeth with South Carolina. Well, if Alabama ends up being a 3-4 loss team, which, by the way, you might scoff at that. That is a distinct possibility. Now, is it possible Alabama also goes on a roll here and figures things out and finishes at 11-1? Yep. That's what I'm saying. You need to see how this thing finishes out. LSU, you said lost to USC. It's like, I don't think LSU's all that. And they get a huge win over an Ole Miss team that is convinced that this is their year. Yeah. And now they are, there is no margin for error. Another loss for Ole Miss and they're done. Even if they win out, it's not a lock that they're in. I think they probably are, but they have to win out to be in the playoff conversation now. So I don't know how good the SEC is right now in terms of those top tier teams. A few weeks ago, I was on here telling you, I think the SEC has by far the most top tier teams, and I don't think it's close. Now, guess who is the only conference that has 3 undefeated teams in it?
Can I interject something that'll just blow your mind?
Go ahead.
What did the NIL do? NIL do.
Yeah.
It leveled that field. Like, I'm not going to sit there and say, but it had been rumored for decades that, they were in the SEC, they were taking care of some players and this and that, and they were getting the cream of the crops. And now that it's legal that everybody else can do it, they're not getting the cream of the crop, and the cream of the crop is being spread around the country. Lo and behold, look at the SEC. It's struggling this year. I'm just saying.
But college football.
No accusations. No accusations.
So, but Vanderbilt is not the big winner here in the NIL. Like that's not what's happening.
It's huge.
Right?
Big winners. They win post college NCAA football work with
part of what I think is happening is it's college football. And at the end of the day, for all of the hand wringing, and by the way, I did a lot of the hand wringing, so I'm not sitting here saying that this is I'm not casting aspersions elsewhere. I'm saying I do think, at least for now, it is still the game. Like when you turn it on, not once on Saturday, I honestly, not once did I think about, oh man, that NIL stuff is ruining football. Oh, the transfer portal. I just sat there and watched the Penn State USC game enthralled, and then I watched the Oregon Ohio State game, and I'm like, man, this is great, just great television. It's fun to watch. Like the games, it feels anyway, like the kids are still out there because they love the game. Coaches are still involved because they love coaching the game. And we, the fans, get to enjoy the game because it's still the passion, the enthusiasm, the pageantry, the band, and all of it that comes with college football. It's still there. It's still what is making Saturdays so fun. And Vanderbilt can beat Alabama. Penn State can go on the road and knock off a USC when it had never done that previously. It is all of the things that make college football great are still there. And regardless of what disparities may be there, of all of the things, and there are things that I'm still very concerned about and that need to get figured out moving forward, the games themselves and the players going out there and competing in these games, man, it is fun. It is just fun to watch.
Well, you're talking about the pageantry of college football and stuff. I gotta just quick jump in here.
Yeah.
So I went down to Katanning on Friday night, Katanning outside of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
From my buddy Billy Anderson's, his 2 sons play for Kiski area. And I got there, and we sat down outside the locker room, and I'm watching, Friday Night Lights pretty much.
Yep.
And I'm like, damn, I missed this. You know what I mean? It was like the band was there. The band comes walking in. The visiting band comes walking in. The cheerleaders come in. The Pledge of Allegiance, the Star Spangled Banner, everybody in town stops what they're doing and they go watch the high school football game. I'm like, that's freaking Americana right there, man. So, and what got me was the drums. I love the drums in the high school realm, but also in the college football realm. So I'm just sitting there watching that USC game this weekend. Like, man, this is Penn State USC in LA. Beautiful weather out there. The place is packed. I was like, damn, man, this is awesome. This is a damn good American weekend, What did Tanning, and then watch the Penn State game, and then, watch the Ohio State game, and you wake up the next day, 9 o'clock in the morning, you're watching the game in England. So it's a hell of a weekend, man. But I'm completely with you. And, you get wrapped up in it, and you just love it. And it's just like, I don't care about the transfer portal at that point. I don't care about the NIL at that point. My team is playing your team. We're going to go at it. We're going to have a good time. And hopefully it's a good game. No one gets hurt and everybody has a fun time. And it's an entertaining game. So that was awesome.
It really was. It was a great football Saturday. Not the upsets. There were a lot of near upsets, USC, Penn State included, but not the upsets of the previous week. But, man,
isn't that weird?
A lot of great drama right down to the end. I do want to pick up on the and we'll get back. There's a couple more things I want to touch on with the Penn State-USC game. But let's turn our attention for the moment to the Ohio State-Oregon game, because the one thing you and I have talked about, and I think we both doubted Oregon's ability to step up at the line of scrimmage, as you watch that game unfold. And listen, it was a coin flip game. Two teams, if they meet, and they could meet twice more yet this season, they're all going to be, I think, coin flip games.
Yep.
But I think Oregon, I still think Ohio State is the best team in the country. I know right now Texas is looking like that, and Texas has the best resume to this point, no question. But I still think Ohio State is the best team across the board.
And we're going to see, like we have talked about all year going into this season, watching USC and watching Colorado, how these NIL teams, once they start losing a game or two, how they react.
So the two things that I think were most intriguing to me about that game and the way it played out, one is Oregon was up to the task at the line of scrimmage. It was an even battle at the line, and if anything, I think Oregon won it slightly over the course of the four quarters. But it was a good battle there up front. So Oregon, I thought Oregon was best position of the four teams. Not great insight here, I understand. They were the best position in terms of the physicality. Certainly best position talent-wise to make a run in the Big Ten. Everybody knew that. But I also thought they have played the most physical brand of football in the Pac-12 for the last few years. And it just felt like they were well positioned. But I did not think, that being said, that they would match up as well as they did with an Ohio State. I thought maybe they'd be in that 4 or 5 range in terms of offensive line play in the Big Ten this year. They were certainly up to the challenge and then some in that game. I know a lot is being made of the end of the game. To be honest with you, if I'm an Ohio State fan in this era, now if it was still the 4-team playoff format, maybe it's a little more concerning. With the 12-team format, I'm like, man, the quarterback, obviously, Will Howard should have gotten down. All of it. All of the stuff that's obvious. Okay. Trying to make a play, trying to make something happen, gets caught up, loses track in the moment. To me, forgivable mistake and something that this team now can build on. But to your point, Goon, I am really curious because I saw a lot of analysis coming out of that game that Ohio State is elite everywhere except quarterback. Oh. Well, this is a team, if you remember at the start of the season, or back before the start of the season, they had 5 guys competing for that starting quarterback job. And I think, now I'm forgetting the exact numbers, 3 or 4 of them were 5-star guys. So the idea that Ohio State doesn't have elite quarterback play is somewhat bizarre to me. And I'm not arguing whether or not they do one way or the other for the purpose of this. Certainly there are quarterbacks playing better right now than Will Howard. That is not debatable. But whether or not he's a guy that can play elite enough for them to go out and win a national championship, I think they probably still can get that from him. And I still think, again, they're the most talented roster, and I think at the end of the day, they're still the best team. But they have a loss. There are people pinning it on the quarterback, and I'm just wondering now in that locker room if there are guys, why are we playing this guy? We know that guy. And maybe there's none of it. I do think Ryan Day is underappreciated by Ohio State fans for his ability to get guys there to buy into the culture. I do think much like James Franklin is established here, and I think he's underrated by Penn State fans for it here. If you listen to Drew Aller in that post-game on-field stuff, I mean, he said it as definitively and as emphatically as you possibly could, that he loves James Franklin and that there's no coach the country he'd rather play for, all of it. And I think Franklin has buy-in from all of his players. It certainly feels like that anyway, on, hey, this is what we do, this is how we go about it. And, he has their back, and it certainly feels like they have his. Everything you hear from the players seems to confirm that.
Yeah.
So all of that being said, it takes not much to disrupt great chemistry, good vibes. A 1-point loss to Oregon should not do that, my opinion, in this era. But I think it is going to be interesting to see what Ohio State looks like here over the course of the next few weeks, including that Penn State game.
They're brutal.
They are brutal.
They are.
The expectations are
bunch.
very, very high.
I've seen articles where they're calling Larry Johnson out.
They're calling everybody out.
I mean,
no, they're calling.
They're saying Larry Johnson, it's over. He's past his prime, and this and that. And I'm like, you're going to call Big Cat out like that? My God! For what he has done, putting 9 first round picks in the NFL, just out of Ohio State, the defensive line. But I can see where their issue is, and that is that they've historically gotten a ton of pressure with 4-man. And they're not getting it this year, and it's blowing them up defensively. Because, honest to God, you had those 4 guys that Larry would coach at Ohio State for the last 15 years, 10 years. One of them was going to win the one-on-one battle against somebody. One of them was, and it's not happening right now. And the back 7 are getting picked apart a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that people are very upset about that out in Columbus, and it just blows my mind. But I guess, they're just so used. There's 20-plus years of just complete dominance out there. And, you can see where they're going to start turning on each other. And, they're reading this stuff. Again, we're watching it. If they lose another game and then, they lose to Penn State, then they have Michigan. Did they get in with a win over Michigan? Who's their marquee victory? All that, That's the issue we're going to have if we, lose 2 games, God forbid. But, Ohio State opened with somebody. They beat somebody. Opening game of the year. Did they have a big game? That's all running together, man. But I'm saying that I think they don't have a possibility of getting in. But we're going to go to break here soon. But I don't know what is the Big Ten breakdown for if there's 4 one-loss teams in the Big Ten. Who's going to play in the title game?
Well, so I do want to go back to
my analogy was whoever, if there's 4 teams tied, Michigan, Ohio State automatically go, even if they're not part of the 4. That's just the rules of the Big Ten. So
there you go. Well, so going back to Penn State,
yes.
And what does cashing in on this season mean now, coming off of this USC game? So because you have Drew Aller, you have Singleton and Allen, like, this does feel, and the schedule lines up the way it feels like You need to take advantage.
Yep.
Now, this is where I'm at, and I'm not saying I'm definitively right on this, but where I'm at now is with this team, cashing in on the opportunity for me means getting to the college football semifinals. Meaning, if there had been, well, it doesn't even, meaning you need to be one of the final 4 teams left playing this season. For me, anything short of that, it feels to me like you have not fully taken advantage of the opportunity that's here, both with the schedule, with the talent you have, and with the momentum now that you've seized and having that special moment with the USC. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that if they go 11-1 and it's a close loss to Ohio State and they win in the first round of the playoffs and then lose a close game to pick a team, that doesn't even matter, to Texas, then the season's a disaster and we got to reconsider Franklin again and all that. Not saying that, but it is, for me, going to feel, you left the opportunity there. If you get to the semifinals, to me, at that point, now you've taken that next step as a program. I think this group of talent that you've had has gotten you to a place that you haven't been in the James Franklin era or in this era of college football. And it feels like, again, you've definitively moved forward. Now you're that close. You want to win the national title. That's the ultimate goal. And it's interesting. Fan bases are funny to me too. Just the expectations and the way things are viewed. A couple of friends that Penn State has no chance of winning the national title. Like, come on. Like, look at this team. And again, this is where the perception thing comes in, because we had after that Alabama-Georgia game, we had a bunch of people saying, man, I watched that game and I watched Penn State. Penn State's not that. Well, do you think Penn State could go to Vanderbilt and beat Vanderbilt? Because I do. I think Penn State could do that. Alabama didn't do that. Listen, I think that, and there are people upset. I'm reading stuff that the defense is, my gosh, she gave up 30 points to USC. USC has some talent, man. Like Lincoln Riley, for all of his faults and anything you want to say, the guy knows how to coach offense, and they have recruited very well. That is an elite quarterback. Yes. That is a really good offensive line. That is an elite running back, and they have 3 outstanding receivers, and I think a couple of others that are pretty good. That is a really good offense. And we've talked about it, Goon. The mentality of, well, if you're giving up X amount of points and you don't have an elite defense, you've got to understand the way the game is played today, the way the rules are skewered, all of that stuff. If you have an elite offense that you're playing against, even if you are an elite defense, that offense is going to get points on the board. They just are. If you have an accurate quarterback and elite receivers, it doesn't matter how good your secondary is. It doesn't matter what kind of a pass rush you have. If that guy gets the ball off, more often than not, it's going to be a completion. That's the way the rules are set up. That's what they want. They want entertaining football, and entertaining these days is perceived as high scoring, points on the board. You need to take the game in and of itself. To me, Alabama, Georgia, do we really think those guys don't have good defenses? Yeah. Did you watch that game? It wasn't a defensive slugfest, but they have really good offensive players who were making plays that day. Yeah. So, to answer some of my friends' questions, rhetorical or not, yes, Penn State could still have a great defense and give up 30 points at USC.
Yep.
That can happen. And it did happen. And I would argue Penn State's defense is still very good. I think that was a really well-coached
the
USC
fake reverse
offense that did a great job.
Outstanding play, and it was that's what happens when you play against a team with the kind of speed that USC has. And, just that one step towards the left side and that reverse came back to the right. Boom, our guys were done, man. Again, USC, they're a well-coached team. They have great players. I'm happy getting out of there with that win.
But when
Very
the game
happy.
was on the line, right? Jalen Reed comes up with the interception. Well, yeah, it was overthrown. Yep. And Jalen Reed came up with the interception
made the catch. Yeah.
and denied Dennis Sutton. And the play he made, USC was gouging Penn State, right? They were with that running game. They had it down. Deny Dennis Sutton. You could circle that as the play of the game. I could make a strong argument that was the play of the game because it got USC off schedule in what was the most important drive of the game at that point and in retrospect. And forced them into the longer field goal, which they missed. And then that obviously allowed Penn State to have the opportunity to come around and win it.
Correct.
By the way, going back to the coaching too, because the other thing I wanted to just touch on, and then we'll take a break here.
Yep.
We're a little overdue. You're listening to WFXS, Pleasant Gap State College. It is Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. The other thing that I think would have been ripe for criticism was the way Penn State played its overtime once it got the ball, which was they were clearly playing for the field goal. They make it. Everybody's like, man, good job. If they miss it, it's like, well, you're relying on a freshman kicker. Why were you not aggressive?
Kickers.
Right? It would have been. And you were just aggressive in the fourth quarter. Why would you not try to, your offense was moving. You were putting points up. Why would you not try to score a touchdown there? And because you went for the settled for the field goal attempt, again, if he misses it and USC goes on and wins the game, that's going to be ripe for criticism. But they had confidence that Ryan Barker was going to make it. He did make it. And now, oh no, that was the right decision. That was the way to play overtime. It is such a fine line. You hear coaches and players talk about it all of the time. It is such a fine line between winning and losing. And I know people hate when you say this. It comes down to execution. Well, no, the play call. No, the coach shouldn't have done that. Oh, the coach should have done this. If the guys go out and execute the play, guess what? The coach's play call, man, that was the right thing to do. If they go for it on fourth down and they make it, man, that was the right thing to do. When you go for it and make it, boy, that was stupid. Why would you do that? It's sports, man. Like that, it is. And to Penn State's credit, on that day, they made all of the right decisions. Why were they the right decisions? Because they worked out, and Penn State won the game.
A lot of people watched it.
Take a break here. We are coming right back. It is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. We're at Quaker Steak and Lube on a Tuesday afternoon.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing and State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
WFXS, once again. Your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA Sports Authority. WFXS America.
98.7, the Fox State College. The Goon and Ironhead.
And we welcome you back here on this Tuesday afternoon. Penn State coming off the 33-30 win over USC. The dreams of a 1-2 matchup may not be done yet, Goon. We mentioned last week, I talked about the possibility of Ohio State and Penn State being 1-2.
Correct.
When they meet. Well, it could still happen, but it would be Penn State number 1 and Ohio State number 2 now, if that were to occur. So the way that could happen now is you have the big Texas Georgia game coming up this Saturday, right, in Austin, and
Georgia wins.
I think that game's going to be really interesting because Texas has looked like the best team in the country. They have been the most consistent. They have the most impressive wins to this point. With maybe Oregon's win over Ohio State, but Texas has gone on the road and done it. They've looked very, very good. Complete team, all of that. And Georgia, as we talked about earlier, has not looked. They look vulnerable. They have not looked like a dominant team.
They've looked beatable
by any stretch.
Three games now that they've looked very, very mediocre.
Yeah, and one of them, obviously,
one of them was Alabama.
They lost. Yeah. They actually did lose the game. So, but
the Kentucky game was a bad game.
Yep,
for them
and
this past weekend.
And then, and even Mississippi State, it ended up 41-31, but it was not.
Yeah, what we'd expect out of
yes,
Georgia.
You're expecting Georgia against Mississippi State to really take care of business, and they just were not able to do that. So I do think this is a dangerous game for Texas because I think they're going to be told all week how good they are, how vulnerable Georgia is. And while I don't think Georgia is the caliber of team that it's been for a few of the national championship runs, I think it's still a very good team and would not be shocked if at the end of the day they end up winning the title this year. I don't think that's going to happen, but I don't think it would be exactly earth-shattering if they were able to get it turned around, and certainly a win at Texas would go a long way toward reestablishing the Georgia brand. But if Georgia can go in there and win that game, Penn State, bye week this week, then obviously needs to win at Wisconsin, which I think is not an easy assignment. I mean, I was really impressed, like kind of blown away by Wisconsin in that game with Rutgers. It just was not the game I was expecting at all. I thought it would be a competitive game. I really thought Rutgers would end up winning it. Close, like
Rutgers
3 to 6 points.
They needed that game.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of Rutgers now either. All of a sudden, my perception of them has completely changed. But Oregon has they have Purdue this week, and I know Purdue gave Illinois a run. I don't really know how that happened. It's college football, but that is just bizarre to me that Illinois gave up 49 points to a Purdue offense that has been awful this year. I mean, the Illinois offense performed fine, but the defense has been good all year. And again, Purdue is like worse than UCLA offensively. And just, I still don't quite understand that one. But Illinois still only loss on the season is to Penn State, and Oregon will have Illinois that week before the Penn State-Ohio State game. So not this Saturday, but a week after the Purdue game.
Yep.
Illinois. Am I expecting Illinois to go into Oregon and win that game? I am not. But again, the way this college football season is playing out, do I say there's no chance of that? Of course not. There is certainly a chance that Illinois goes in and pulls off that upset, in part because I do think there's a chance that Oregon will be looking ahead because they have a big trip to Ann Arbor the same day that Penn State and Ohio State play.
That's my question to you.
And
we'll get to that.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a challenge for Dan Lanning and company, is keeping Oregon focused on the task at hand. Now, Illinois, if it keeps winning, if it wins this weekend, should have their attention. Again, a one-loss team coming out there, you're going to get plenty of attention and focus on that game. But I still think that's a little bit of a dangerous spot there for Oregon with that matchup with Illinois. So you could still have a 1-2 matchup with Penn State and Ohio State. The one thing that I think throws a wrinkle into that is that if Georgia beats Texas, I think Georgia could vault even over Penn State, but I think will certainly vault in front of Ohio State in the rankings.
Georgia beats Texas. You think they vault from 4 over down to 2, huh?
I think it's a distinct possibility. Yeah, I do. I think.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have any marquee. We're not hanging our hats on any of the victories we have so far. There's, and they're going to say a one-loss team versus an undefeated Penn State team, and it's like, yeah, we haven't played anybody in Georgia's one loss is a couple points to Alabama. So,
yeah, and again, I don't know how good Alabama is. I mean, you're getting credit for that because it's Alabama, but I don't know that this year's Alabama really is Alabama. And we're going to find that. I don't know that they're not either. I mean, there are people that are writing off, and again, I'm starting to try to learn anyway that we don't know what we think we know. And again, each week it's been kind of well, that isn't what I thought. Rutgers, Wisconsin last week, Alabama, Vanderbilt the week before. So I think we just need to still see how the whole season plays out here because there are so many different scenarios that can still play out in both the Big Ten and the SEC, but the SEC in particular, I mean, it does feel, again, maybe this perception will change again after this weekend. It still feels like the 3 teams that we thought would be the big dogs in the Big Ten at the start of the year are in fact going to be the big dogs. That's Ohio State, Oregon, and Penn State. And then it feels like there's a little bit of a drop-off to me. And then there's a host of teams.
You knew Indiana was going to have the year they were this year. Come on.
I'll tell you, we're going to start to find out. So Nebraska and Indiana play here on Saturday. And
Wisconsin,
I think
1 loss, 2 losses.
Well,
Illinois, 1 loss.
We're going to see. Yeah, I mean, And it's also, I mean, listen, Indiana could run the table here against those teams. And so let's see how it plays out, because I think Indiana's going to have a chance to prove whether the start is, a little bit of lightning in a bottle, or if this is who Indiana is, at least for this year. I think we're going to learn a lot more about Alabama really over the next 2 weeks. Certainly this game with Tennessee is huge for both of these teams. And then, but the next week, Alabama has Missouri. And if Alabama loses to Tennessee, I'm not sure where the psyche of that team then is. And Missouri obviously has its backs against the wall. And even though I don't think Missouri is as good of a football team as Alabama, again, that mental component and confidence and all of that becomes big. I don't rule out the possibility. And then they have LSU that following week. As we sit here right now, it's like, I could see Alabama winning all three of those games and really getting their season turned around. And I could see Alabama losing all three of those games and really falling apart. Well, and I could see them going 2-1, 1-2 in whatever order. Like, and you can do that with so many different teams right now. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't.
Usually by week 7, we have a pretty good feel for what's going to be going on in the playoffs, but there's nothing.
There really isn't. There are probably, I have to sit down, maybe for Thursday's show, I'll try to list the teams and what I think their likelihood is of getting into the playoffs. But so much of it is based on what's going to happen here in the coming weeks. And a lot of these feel like coin flip type of games to me. And one of the things that I think you need to watch and see how it plays out, I mentioned earlier, there's 11 undefeated teams right now in college football. I'll tell you one of the most intriguing teams to me, and I had a chance to watch a good bit of the Iowa State-West Virginia game. I am telling you, Iowa State is a really good, disciplined football team. They do not make mistakes. And West Virginia was fired up. I think West Virginia thought it was going to pull the upset there. And really, Iowa State never gave them much of a chance. They really didn't. Iowa State, I think, is really good. I mean, like, I think BYU, I watched a little bit of that game. I think BYU is really good. Well, come on. Do you think they could match up? Again, I just watched a couple of weeks ago, Vanderbilt beat Alabama. So do I think that there's no chance that a BYU or an Iowa State, with the way they're playing right now, could knock off one of those big dogs in a given Saturday, whether it's a Georgia, an Ohio State, or Penn State?
Yep.
I think they could. So you have these undefeated teams. You have Clemson, by the way, is kind of just hanging there in the background in the ACC, getting better and better as this season goes along. They got a chip on their shoulder. Miami keeps finding ways to win. Not sold on them, but there's just a lot of things that are still playing out here. Pitt's still sitting there undefeated by the skin of their teeth, but they're undefeated.
Liberty,
Army, Navy is just that is
awesome.
An unbelievably great story for college football. The fact that those two teams are still undefeated and putting together the seasons they are is, in my mind, just great for the sport. Great for the intrigue.
They were used to the NIL. They were ready for it.
No question. Well, they're benefiting so largely from it that, of course, when you have NIL money floating around, Army and Navy are going to make their big move into the world of big time.
I did see a scenario
football
where Army Navy are playing in the All-American Conference, right? The American Conference?
Correct.
That they actually might play in the title game.
Yes.
And then a week later have to play the Army Navy.
Yes.
And then somebody was like, well, that counts 2 games. It's like, no, it doesn't, because the Army Navy game is considered
unto itself.
Yeah, it's not, there's nothing to it. It's not a part of their
there's
record.
everything to it.
Yes, but it's like not a registered or not a recognized game or something like that. like a scrimmage,
Well,
pretty much.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, we're sitting here in week 7, and we have literally no idea other than there's 11. Well, you got to be top 11 to get into the playoff.
Well,
that's the thing. Everybody forgets about that. There's the non-power 5. That's the 12th team, so it's only the top 11 that are going to get in.
Let me throw something else out at you.
Go ahead.
Because we've been talking a lot about Penn State, and at 2 losses, certainly not a lock for the college football playoffs. And in large part, right, because the overall quality of the schedule, not that impressive. I think everybody is kind of assuming that, well, Ohio State is Ohio State. If they get to 10-2, yeah, they're in. Let me go through their schedule for you because, they did not have a marquee matchup.
That's right. They haven't played anybody.
Correct. Akron, Western Michigan, Marshall, Michigan State, Iowa, and it's an Iowa team that had a good win, but not. Again, we'll see how it all plays out. You still have to see, but and they thumped Iowa in the second half, and then the loss to Oregon. Here's what they have remaining now on their schedule, and the Buckeyes have a bye week also this week. Then they are home with Nebraska, and I think that's a dangerous game because of the potential of Ohio State looking forward then to the Penn State matchup. And I think Nebraska is still, I think they're a tricky team. Just keep an eye on what happens there. But Purdue, Northwestern, Indiana, and by the time they get to Indiana, we'll see. Indiana's either going to show itself to be, yep, man, they are a pretty legitimate team, or, yeah, okay, this was a little bit of a false bravado.
They are who we thought they were.
So we'll see. But that's home. And then, of course, the big one with Michigan, which is in Columbus this year. And so if Ohio State has 2 losses, do I think they're in? Yes, with the playoffs. But is that a guarantee? I mean, they would have to beat either Michigan or Penn State to get to 10-2. But if it's Michigan, that could end up being a Michigan team that's not ranked, potentially. Again, you got to see how this all plays out, but it's certainly very possible that Michigan could have another couple of losses before it gets to that game with Ohio State. You tell me what the marquee game is there, especially if Indiana and Michigan, if Michigan has another loss between now and then, which I think is very possible with Oregon coming in. And again, if they have a couple of losses, and if Indiana has a couple of losses before Ohio State plays those 2 games, you tell me where that signature win is on that schedule. I mean, it's either Iowa or Nebraska if they beat Nebraska. Well, that's not exactly. I don't think the playoff committee is sitting there. Whoa, man, they beat Iowa at home. Congratulations. There's a lot of football that has to be played, and we have to see how it all plays out before making any grand proclamations. Even, I'm telling you, Texas to me now looks like the best team in the country.
Mm-hmm.
They could end up with 3 losses before it's all said and done. Right. I'm not predicting that, by the way. I think they will be at worst a 1-loss
game Saturday night. My God.
It is, and it's just it is everything that we've seen to this point would tell you Texas should win that, and probably pretty good. But everything we've seen
to this point says it's going to be an upset.
Yep, and I think Georgia is going to go in there, and I think this is going to be a game that comes right down to the wire, one way or the other. And I think if Texas finds a way to win it, I do think they are very likely going to be the 1 seed going into the playoffs, because I think if they get by Georgia, they have a couple of other potential. I don't know if I have their schedule up here. They have a couple of dangerous games, but nothing daunting.
And
the rest of the way for
conference title
Texas.
games are not going to go into play, right? They're not coming into play when it comes to the playoff.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's just, again, what's the point of them? Other than they had TV contracts they had to fulfill. Yeah, I get it, but
they won't be around. I don't believe after.
Alabama. I'm sorry, Texas goes and beats, loses to.
Well, I forgot we talked about this last week, but Texas, let's say, gets the big win over Georgia. Oh, look who it is! They go to Vanderbilt the next week. Sound familiar? Do you not think Vanderbilt fans are chopping at the bit for that opportunity?
They want the other goalpost.
And listen, Florida, maybe played its best game of the season. They may have left it on the field there, but Texas hosts them then the following week. Then they're at Arkansas. Arkansas has proven that they are capable on a given day. And again, that's a road game. Kentucky at home, but Kentucky's proven on a given day.
Anybody.
And then again, the rivalry game with Texas A&M. So they still have tricky games for sure remaining on their schedule.
And they probably have to play Georgia?
Well, yeah, that's this Saturday. That's
no title. SEC title game.
Oh, well, potential. I mean, I don't know if it'd be Georgia. If they beat Georgia this week.
I haven't looked into it. Is there an East and West still in the SEC?
No, they'll take the top two teams in the conference, which, again, you tell me right now, there's probably 7 or 8 teams that you could project as being in the top two. Mm-hmm. Certainly Georgia, Alabama, Texas. LSU, Ole Miss, Tennessee, for sure.
Ole Miss has got 2,
7,
but they could actually,
and they have a chance to play their way back into it here because of the schedule they play. I mean, that's at least 7, and we're probably missing one or two that could work their way in.
Penn State.
I don't think the Big Ten to me is much more.
We reversed, man.
Or at least that's what
we
it
roll
feels
reversed.
Like. Now, again,
the 2 conferences they did.
Yeah,
we got
things happen still in the Big Ten, of course. But
oh man,
all right, we'll take a break here.
Let's go.
Listening to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. We're coming back with more at Quaker Steak and Lube right after that.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
2 of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The Fox. The Goon and Ironhead.
We welcome you back in here on this Tuesday afternoon. You are locked into the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. We're talking some Penn State football, college football, wild season it has been.
Lobster murderers.
And I think the wildest is yet to come. Yeah, you are vamoose. Out of here. Forget about it.
Beat it.
The Booch will fill in for Goon on Thursday as we get you
The
ready
deer
for
Booch.
the bye Saturday.
The deer Booch.
Bye Saturday. It'll be fun to watch some of the other action and see what happens elsewhere. I do think for Penn State, it is. So I think a couple of things. The bye week, again, if you had to draw it up, you would think your preference would be, all right, let's play the Oregon game and then have the bye week. But I think there's something to be said, too, for what you were talking about is riding that momentum and being able to play. And in some ways, you'd like to do it this Saturday, but
I'm cool with it because of being the trip.
Yeah, if you can take care of business, emphasis on you got to get the win at Wisconsin, then I do think, all right, now you're back in that game week rhythm, and I think that should help as far as just the feel for that Wisconsin game. I do think that was a really physical game with USC.
It was.
I think Tyler Warren for sure is okay with having maybe a couple of days where he can rest his body a little bit. But I think the entire team, that is not a bad thing heading into what is now, I think, a dangerous night game at Wisconsin. I think having that little extra time to rest your body as well as prepare and work on things and all of that, not a bad thing. And I think as
soon as I saw the night game, I got scared. One, we're on upset watch against Wisconsin because historically, we're not good after bye weeks. We start slow. We're going to be at Wisconsin. It's going to be absolutely crazy out there on a night game, coming off of a bye, and we have Ohio State a week later.
Yep,
it's a classic trap game, but we're talking about it already. So James is already talking about it too. So I mean, it's not like these guys, they're not warned and being told like, hey, let's keep this. And I would like to know what James is doing. Is he treating this week differently than he has? We've had 2 bye weeks in a month now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when I came into the league in 93 and 94, we had 2 bye weeks. We went bye week, Michigan, bye week, Ohio State, by the way, 2 straight years. That was crazy to think about, but it's like, I don't understand why it happened like that, but having the bye week so fast, and so, you want the bye weeks to like rest, relax, go home, see your family, go back to your high school and stuff like that, but like they did it a month ago. Are they going to do that this week? Is James going to change the schedule and say, let's just keep this game momentum going and just stay in this game mode, have practice Saturday afternoon maybe? I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do. I mean, he has to change some stuff up because of the last few years it's just been so bad after bye weeks, right? I mean, he has to realize that. I mean, everybody in the world talks about it. So it's like, I don't know what he's doing with the guys. But me personally, they had a bye week a month ago. They don't need to have a second one. Just keep the guys here, practice Saturday afternoon, and keep your same routine going like you have for a game week, and just see how that works for next week.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. Agreed. I am curious to see how they go about attacking Wisconsin as well. This was a little different approach that they took with USC, I think in part dictated by what USC was doing defensively. And I think that it's what they were expecting USC to do defensively. And as we talked about earlier, I actually think Penn State was really close to getting off to a great start in that game.
And then it was not that reverse that they kicked in. And that was a great play by them.
It was.
I mean, you take advantage of our speed and our athleticism and pursuit.
And the aggressiveness.
Yes.
Yep.
Guess who else watched that?
Yeah.
Ohio State, Wisconsin, they all did.
So this is the other thing that to me is, you talk about just the fun of being a fan when you have a coach like Andy Kotelnicki, and that is, well, I'll speak for me. I can hardly wait to see what it is he comes up with next. And with 2 weeks to get ready here for Wisconsin, there's going to be another wrinkle or two that will be thrown in there for that game. And another couple of wrinkles that therefore Ohio State will have to, all right, well, we now saw this. We've got to be ready for this. And again, that there are variations off all of this stuff. We talk about the diversity on this offense, Goon, but you have now 3 different quarterbacks, one of whom is a tight end, and so can do the things that tight ends can do. But you have 3 different quarterbacks, not to mention you can direct snap to Nicholas Singleton or Katron Allen as well. So you have options just from the get-go in terms of who you're snapping the ball to. And there is a different feel to this offense, whether it's Bo Pabula, whether it is Tyler Warren or Drew Aller there under center. And at this point, Goon, I think I have faith that any of those options can work very effectively. I think kind of lost in the shuffle here is Bo Pabula and the options that the offense has off of him being under center or in the shotgun formation, because with Tyler Warren at tight end, when Pabula's in there, again, you have 3 or 4 options as to who you can run the ball with, and that shovel pass is always a nice little option to have. It's always a nice little play to throw in there as, we need 4 or 5 yards. Let's give it a try. And even if it doesn't work, it's okay. Well, you come right back. And again, with what you can do with this running game and with what you can do now, the receiving core, and I will tell you, I have a ton more confidence right now in Julian Fleming than I did before Saturday's game. And that's not to say I had no confidence in him. It's just like, I have no idea. I mean, if it's a clutch situation, well, you make 2 4th-down catches like that, I have faith in you now. Like, that is so.
We watched our boy Aller grow up a little bit.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
Well,
a lot of it.
Sorry. So I really want to talk. I think I started to, and I didn't really follow through on it. That second 4th-down play, I mean, they came. USC came, and they had him. I mean, they did. They had him, and he saw it, felt it, went out to the right, and I'm telling you, a year ago, he either is just firing that ball up there and praying, or he's just taking off and hoping that he can get there. His ability to roll out, to keep looking downfield, and to have the confidence to throw the ball, and then, the skill set to get it there accurately, coming back across his body. Like, that is a really tough throw in a critical situation. And he delivered, and then obviously Fleming caught it. But I don't know. I heard a lot of discussion after the game about a lot of things. Aller's ability to allow that play to occur, and that was Aller that allowed that. It wasn't, USC did a great job. they got the pressure on him, and he handled it, got out, and made a really tough throw in a really clutch spot.
No offense, he's not making that throw last year.
I don't think. I really don't. I think if he tried it, it would have been intercepted. Yep. And my guess is he wouldn't have tried. He would have been panicked and just would have run.
So go back to the interception word. Last year, Ohio State, Michigan, he was flustered because he had to throw so much. It was put on his shoulders. We had no run game going on at all. And everything was expected of him to throwing the ball, and he was just not ready for it. And you could see after the game was the deer in headlight syndrome a little bit. He was just like a little rattled. He throws 2 interceptions the other day. Well, the third was the late in the game, but there's still 2 interceptions.
Yeah,
but he's not making that play this time last year on those 4th downs after those interceptions because he was afraid or he was hesitant to throw it down there or another interception. No, man, he's letting it go. He's balling right now. He's not making that play last year. So we watched our man grow up from 1 year. That was the Drew Aller we expected last year in that Ohio State game that he expected, and it didn't happen. But we saw him for sure the other night, man.
Well, and listen, his numbers were great, but he did have a couple of drops. He should have had over 400 yards passing. If
you take Tyler Warren out of there, he's stealing his yards, man.
Yeah,
Bola's stealing his yards, man. So I just watched the Warren highlight with him at center and then making the touchdown catch. Yeah. Great job by USC, even recognizing that they had to cover him.
It was phenomenal. Like USC was so well coached up on that. And again, if that play doesn't work, it is so easy to criticize. It's there.
What are you doing running that play? What are you doing running that stupid play? Just running.
Yeah, you don't need it to be so tricky. Just and all of it. And instead, it works for a touchdown, and we're talking about the brilliance and all of it. And it's just, I'm just telling you, every game and every week, it's like that. And there are 5 or 6 plays in every game that make the difference, or most games. And at the end of the day, it really, much more often than not, it comes down to execution, much more than the play call or even the situation. It's like, all right, if you go out and block and you make the right reads and you deliver the ball or you make the right cut, like the play works. Or if the defense is in, if they are shooting the gaps where you're trying to go and they have the right blitz, it doesn't work. But it's not, I think too often we're like, it's a stupid call because that situation didn't dictate that. Again, if you go out and execute, it doesn't matter what the situation is. The play is going to work. And if you don't, and again, part of it is, yes, you got to see what the defense is giving you, what their alignment is, making the right reads, all of that. That's certainly part of it as well. But it really does largely come down to, what do you know? We executed it and it worked. And those 2 4th down plays, both of them, Aller, you talk about delivering the ball the way it needed to be delivered in the clutch. Again, it was not a situation. I know some USC fans are like, our defense, you had them. I didn't think either of those plays, it was like, I can't believe USC's defense just fell asleep there. No, they're right there. Like, they got pressure on Aller. You did exactly what you wanted to do. You're forcing him out of the pocket. He's on the run, and he throws it back and delivers it. And on the first one, again, he fires it in there. The coverage is good. It's good.
Yeah.
The ball is just accurately delivered, and Fleming makes a great catch in traffic.
Great catch.
Well, that's football.
That's Fleming.
And if an offense has the advantage if it executes.
Yeah.
It just does.
No doubt about it. And then we're looking at Fleming. He's not the star why he's not Marvin Harrison Jr. out at Ohio State, which he was supposed to be and this and that. He's going to be a scrappy possession receiver. So that's what role he wants to play, and he's playing. He did a hell of a job the other day making those catches late in the game. Because if he drops one, it's like, that's why he's not in Ohio State right now. A lot of things had to go right in those plays. I mean, again, it's real easy if he drops that pass or it's underthrown or overthrown or intercepted. You know, Franklin's getting murdered right now. What the hell are we doing out there? Punt the ball, pin him. Save the clock.
Yeah.
You know, they risked everything, and then the high reward they got. Good job, Coach. Great job, James. Great job. Keep it going here. Get this weekend through, get your guys rested, and get ready to go, baby.
But
we're coming down, man.
So the benefit of having it go the way it did, and again, it could easily through a wide variety of things. A USC great play defensively, a drop ball, a
chip pass.
Yep. I mean, there's all kinds of things that could happen, and we're having an entirely different conversation. Oh, here we are. Penn State can't win the big ones again, and this and that. So I go back to they need to capitalize on this now, though, because you can't have a signature game like that. I mean, you can. So I guess what I'm telling you is they need to avoid this. What would be devastating is to have a game like that and then turn around and lose at Wisconsin, right? Like man, everything you just – so now I think this team is mature enough, and I think it's good enough to go in. Again, Wisconsin, I'm still trying to figure out exactly how the 42-7 thing just makes no sense to me. Because Wisconsin had not been playing well. Rutgers had been playing really good, hard-nosed, tough football, and Wisconsin just took it to them. Yep. So putting up the 42 in particular,
on that defense,
I mean,
Rutgers
holding Rutgers to 7
defense,
is impressive. Man. But yes, getting the 42 on that defense, that is the concern for me. I had a friend that said that their concern going into the USC game was, man, if USC gets to 30, and it was, and that is the number he threw out before the game. He's like, if they get to 30, I don't know, and I'm afraid they can get to 30. And like as we were talking throughout the game, like it is unbelievable that you threw that as the number, like not 28, not 35. Like you're like, they get to 30. I don't know if we can hang with them. And I'm like, well, that was exactly the right threshold.
They got there.
It turned out that they did have just enough to withstand that. But that's the other thing that I do like coming out of this game, though, is now it does feel to me like Penn State can win different types of games if the scenario calls for it, right? If the game unfolds. Yes. Like I think this team is capable of winning a shootout with just about anybody. I think it's capable of winning a slugfest with just about anybody with the physical play. And so I think there's a lot of things to like. Now there's still some concerns, and there's no question. I mean, I'm not sitting here telling you Penn State is definitively on the path to a national title. They've got to still clean some things up.
Sure they are.
But a lot of things that were problems earlier in the season, the penalty situation in particular, like that was a overall pretty clean game. The Penn State played against USC.
0 sacks. They gave up 0, had 1 sack.
And when they needed it most, they did all of that stuff, all of those little things. Kicking game came through, and including the punting game, by the way, when they needed it. But
could Warren punt?
I think that I think that this.
It's pretty cool right there.
I think that the confidence level that this team has to have is going to be hugely beneficial. And I do think, as we sit here now, like I think an undefeated season is possible for this team. I really do. Now,
you're screwing it all up, Jeff.
I still think there's a lot of things that need to be cleaned up and that they need to improve on to get there. I still think you need more consistency. I mentioned a couple of drops. You don't want that, obviously, as you move forward. If the ball hits you in the hands, you want guys that are catching it, and you just kind of know that's what's happening. And I still think there's some consistency things on defense that you'd like to see. All right, we want to play a little better there, a little more consistently good in terms of not giving up relatively easy yards at the line of scrimmage. But I got to tell you, Goon, the positives coming out of this game are just so significant, and in part because it really did come down to them making the plays, and now they have that in their arsenal that if they get into that situation again, now, this is just like USC. We need to make another 4th down and long. Here we go. And again, it doesn't guarantee anything. Every play, every game is different, but you have that now as something that you have done, so it's not, we think we can do this. No, we know we can do this. We've done it. It's just a difference in the confidence level that I think they can take now into the rest of the season. And I think having that game under your belt with still a couple of big road games now with Wisconsin, and then that game at Minnesota is still, a game that you got to still have circled. I will say I'm less concerned again now about Washington after this past weekend, which isn't to say after another couple of weeks that I won't be really concerned about Washington again.
We're not playing them at Washington
at the moment. Yeah. And the thing is, even if Washington had looked good this past Saturday, I'd still feel good about that game. I just think the whiteout, and them having to travel and all of that, and whether they're going to get a Penn State team that's either coming off a loss and is determined to get back out there and get a good feeling about it, or coming off a win and realizing that, man, absolutely everything that this program has been working to achieve is lying there in front of it. They're not going to blow that with the whiteout.
I think they're too well led right now. They got a great leadership crew in that team right now. Franklin's on, he's on time and on target. Offensively, they're playing well. Defensively, they're giving up some big plays, but they were good plays by USA. I got to give them credit.
Yeah, and
I love the ingenuity of our offense.
And when the game was on the line, the defense made the plays that it had to. Made the interception, got the tackle for a loss, made the stop on the, and the pass interference calls, not non-pass interference calls, that stuff. I don't know what, I don't think it would have been outrageous if the flag was thrown on either of those. Penn State fans would complain, but I don't think it would have been outrageous. But I really don't think it was outrageous that it wasn't thrown. And the thing about it, if you go back and watch that game from the beginning, I haven't done that, but you talk about in basketball, they talk about, they're letting them play. They were letting them play. Now, we can argue whether too much, but with the pass interference stuff and with the holding at the line of scrimmage, they were not calling it all game long. And I don't think you want to, if you're not going to call it all game, you don't just suddenly, all right, now we're going to throw the flags here now that we're in over.
I do got one announcement before we get off the air, and that is that Penn State, Wisconsin having a viewing party over the Athletic Administration Building. I put it on Facebook. I have it on our BlueWhitePlayerShow.com. Check it out. It's $100 a person, but all the money is going to be raised, and that's going to go towards financing the player show in the spring with our winter sports.
Awesome!
I have a question.
Yeah,
are there winter sports and there's spring sports, but there's only a spring semester?
Well, yeah. There's fall.
It's weird. There's fall, spring semester.
The winter spreads over. Yeah, the two.
So wrestling is a winter sport.
Yeah,
but okay. I didn't know. I was just thinking in my head, and I was like, basketball goes about the same time as So the spring sports are only like baseball, softball, lacrosse.
Yeah.
And men's soccer?
No.
They're both men and women play soccer at the same time?
Yeah, they're both fall. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. That's
is what it is. So BlueWhitePlayerShow.com is the website. You can check it out. So
cool.
$100. And it's going to have a heavy tailgate food. I got some I got 2 Jason Kelsey things. I got a Troy Polamalu jersey. Got Abdul Carter football.
Oh, sweet.
Singleton Aller stuff. Tyler Warren stuff. I got a Mike Tyson knockout. The old Nintendo game with a Nintendo holder and a shadow box. But I got a Bo Nickel glove framed. one of his MMA gloves frames. So
I like it.
Check it out, bluewhiteplayershow.com, and sign up and get involved, boys and girls.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys. I'll see you next week.
Folks want me to predict loss every week again. Probably not a bad idea.
We tried that last year.
Going. Yep. All right, we're going to wrap things
lose.
up. We will talk to you. Well, I'll talk to you again Thursday. Have a good trip.
Bye-bye, lobsters.
Booch and I will talk to you on Thursday. Until then, be good and be safe.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half-century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing and State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Habaker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Habaker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Habaker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.